So this, believe it or not, is my Aroid hanging basket. So it's Pinellia pedatisecta. I do it every year and it's a really stunning hanging basket of Aroids, but it only lasts till about now, which is the end of September. So let's unpot it and see what we've got in the way of tubers. So the first thing I need to do is, before I even take it down, is I'm literally just going to chop it all down. So I'm just going to chop every single one of these leaves back. Now, one thing you might notice is these inflorescence. Weirdly, this year, not one single one of these took. So I've got no seeds off it this year, and I don't know why, because there was tons and tons of them. So I'm not sure what happened, and we'll see what happened. You know, what happens next year with it, but obviously I'm doing this one-handed, so it's never the easiest, and I'm just getting rid of as many as I can before we take it to the table. So really I'm just doing a quick hack job to make it easier for us to see it. So I'm just snipping down some of them. There's a couple of them, you know, they're still looking okay, the leaves, but we don't want them now at this late stage in the year. There is actually a persicaria in there. That's Persicaria red dragon, so we don't want that. It was just thrown in there one day by mistake, really, or not even by mistake, just for a bit of a laugh, I suppose. And it's such a pernicious weed that you know, when you think you want Persicaria red dragon in the garden, then it means you've got nothing in your garden and you just want to fill up the spaces. As soon as the summer's over, it's just everywhere. It's just literally everywhere. So what we'll do now is we'll take that hanging basket as it is now, and we'll take it to the table, and then we'll unpot it and see what we've got in terms of tubers. Okay, so we got rid of a lot of the tops, so we'll carry on now, get rid of a few more. These are all dead anyway, so it makes no difference. But what I'm going to look for is I'm going to tip it out and see what we've got in the way of tubers, because these are normally, this pot is usually absolutely rammed full of tubers at the end of the season. So I'll just take the labels out. You can see. So normally I could have let it go a bit further. I could have let it die back a little bit further, but it looks terrible at this time of year, and they're all coming up anyway. That's a good way of telling. If they just come out with my hand like that, it means that they were ready anyway. So that you know, these tubers were well ready. You can see them coming out as I just pull them. Literally one little pull and out it comes. So okay, so let's just tip it on its side. So hopefully with at least one of these cameras you should be able to see. In fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do it on this camera here. I'm just going to start pulling it out and just see what we've got. So literally pull this one out. So this is the Persicaria, so we don't want this. That should never been in there really anyway. So bring all of these others out, and then it might just be worth getting in there with my hand now and seeing what we can pull out. What I'll do is I will reach for my trusty hook. Hopefully you can see that. And what I'll do is I'll start pulling out. I'll get the hook deep inside it and see what we can pull out. So move all that rubbish to one side. Just release it a bit. You can feel that it's tight already. So it might even be better now to see if we can. Yep, there we go. Just tip it in one go. And look at that for roots. So you can see how it's wound its way around. So this is going to be a pot full of tubers now. So it's absolutely all mashed together. So what we'll do is we'll just start now pulling away bit by bit until we see something that we want to look at. So there's our first one. So that is 2 healthy tubers. Now the roots, as you know at this point, they can just go. We don't need those roots. And that is 2 tubers stuck together, nice and solid, absolutely rock solid. So they're healthy as anything. So what we'll do is I've got the pot now, so I'll just drop them in the pot and then we'll see how many we've got left by the end. So just keep working our way around. Another one. So again, pull the roots off, quite healthy. So that's 2. Keep going. See them all stuck together there. So there's 1, 2, there's about 4 in that one, I can think that. So once we've washed them, you'll really be able to see them a bit better. So now just keep going around, working around, looking for any offsets that might fall off. So tops can go. That's fine, there's 2 there. Keep going. There's a huge one there. Look at the size of that. Keep going. So these are fed all year with bone meal and normal fertilizer. So these are the last few. So there's another one there. Huge one there. Can't wait to see that one. Put that one in there. Another one. And then 3 more there. So these are all looking quite healthy. So what I'll do is we will go and empty all this soil away, and then we'll go and wash off the ones that we've done, and then we'll tip them back out into here once it's clean, and we'll have a look. So let's take this to get it washed. So this might be a bit noisy. As I said, a bit noisy. Okay, so here we are after cleaning them up, and as you can see, I've got God knows how many. So there's actual tubers. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24 tubers altogether. Now, something to notice is, if you don't know about these with aroids, it looks like there's something rotten at the bottom. So this here at the bottom of the tuber is last year's tuber. This soft bit here will come off, and even though it looks like rot, that bit there is the tuber from last year. So that's like a potato skin. And once that comes off, what you're left with is the tuber that's been created for this year. So that's all of that. So you can see solid, hard, really healthy. Now all these roots will come off. We'll dry them and they'll come off. And then basically like that. And then that is how I'll prepare each of these tubers. And then they'll be cleaned off and dried off, and then we can have another look at them, I think. But basically we've got a nice healthy crop. So we've dried most of the tubers out, so there's quite a few ways of doing that. So one, you can just leave them somewhere warm for a few weeks and just let them naturally dry out. You can put them in somewhere like a heated cabinet, which I wouldn't recommend usually. These have been in a like a warm cupboard, so they are a little bit damp. So I'm going to make sure when I've finished with them now that they stay here in the greenhouse and they just completely dry out. You can see they're still a bit damp here. But the thing to do now is to go through each one, possibly let it go a little bit drier than it is now, and then literally check every single one to see if there's any rot. So you basically push your finger in and see if there's anywhere that's spongy. Now, I've had a good look at these already, and I can't see any that I've got any rot on them whatsoever. So you can keep pulling away this kind of old material. Doesn't matter if you do or not, because it will just desiccate anyway. It just dries up, and then it won't be a problem for you at all anyway. If they're together in a clump like that, there's no harm in leaving them together, but I've also found that it's no harm in pulling them off as well. And sometimes you can spot any rot in between those little joints there, if there is any. Keep looking, and then any that you do find, now as it happens, there's not one single one of mine that are rotted, so I wouldn't need to do much more than I've done already. I would now just store these till basically next winter, and I just store things like this that are pretty rock hard. I just store them in paper bags like this, sometimes with a bit of desiccant in there, something like, well, not even desiccant, but something that would soak up a bit of the moisture. So maybe some like orchid bark or a little bit of sawdust sometimes, which I really don't like. The smaller ones I pot up in like a very, very dry compost, and so all of the smaller Araceae and some of the Pinellia, I'll leave them potted in little pots. And then all my Amorphophallus I just store like this in a cupboard, in boxes, sorry, which I've done a video of a couple of times now. But basically they just go in wooden boxes in the house. But these Pinellia, if they're dry and there's no rot, they can literally just sit in little paper bags, and they'll wait until basically to sort of something like February, possibly March, when they're coming towards the end of the frosts. And they will take frost. Some of these live in the garden all the time. I have got them out in the garden, but I always like to have this one, the hanging basket lot, all in the house. Now, if there was rot, what I do is I use this stuff, which is yellow sulphur, and it's a yellow powder, so I have a pot of it like this, always available. And then basically I just, with a little makeup brush like this, say for example, let me find one, say this one here, which actually has got a little bit of wetness there, but that would dry, so that isn't rot. There's no sign of that rotting. Now it could rot, you can't guarantee any of this, but for example, I would just pop that in there, and wherever I feel there might be rot, I would just dab it with the sulphur. Now for really bad ones, if you don't want to risk them, I would completely put it in the box and shake it, or put it in a bag. I have a bag as well to shake it, and the sulphur basically dries it out, so it stops any of the rot and any of the fungal attacks. So again, I am not going to bother with these. They'll be absolutely fine like this till next year. But if you do need it, that's a good investment. I thought that might be rot there, but it's not. It's just more of the same. But yeah, these are all ready. And bear in mind, I think I might have a photograph. I'll put it on screen now of what these were like 2 years ago. It was just a couple of tubers from my good friend Jack Hogg over at Yorkgate Garden. And now I've got literally, this is only a part of what I've got. I've got them outside as well. So yeah, you can see why I love these as a hanging basket. You don't really see them as hanging baskets ever, but every year I get this great big display and I absolutely love it.
I really hope you're enjoying our videos, and if you are, please give us a thumbs up. We mostly cover things to do with indoor and outdoor aroids, and also any equipment or tips and tricks that we can pick up along the way. If you like it enough to give it a thumbs up, then why not subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, and I can let you know when we upload new content, which is every week.